Perkins, the editor of Exposure, Spotlight Magazine. And I am so excited because I am here with two beautiful young ladies. And first, I'm going to introduce, I have Alisha White, and she is the author of the book called The Unspoken Truth, The Aftermath of Sexual Abuse. And of course, I have Jovante Cunningham, who is one of the girls who is who survived R. Kelly. And she also had the opportunity to be interviewed by Gail King. How are you guys doing?
Absolutely.
I am doing well.
Oh, great.
Absolutely.
Look, thank you guys so much for accepting this invitation to be a part of Exposure Spotlight Magazine, where your voice matters. Now, look, allow me to ask Alisha about her book. How did you decide to write your book? How did this all come about?
I actually didn't decide. God decided it for me. He said, sit your butt down and write this book. The book is, like you stated, it's entitled Unspoken Truth. The aftermath of sexual abuse. I don't know why I stumbled on that. Anyway, the book talks about all of the things that your mama done told you. What goes on in my house stays in my house. And it was a need to pull the rugs in other people's households as well as mine, so that I can let my sisters know, my sisters and my brothers that have gone through any type of sexual abuse, just to let them know that, hey, I'm standing in the gap with you. This was something that I went through. It's not something I heard about. I actually had to walk that walk. But also, what is more important about the book is that I'm letting people know that even though this is something that has happened to you, that does not have to define who you are. And so that's how Unspoken Truth, kind of just like unfolded. It was all the things I had to just like delve in and bare my soul to the world and say, this is what happened, but this is how I got over it. And so I may have started out as a victim, but I am definitely a survivor.
Okay, so tell me this, how can you help other young ladies who may have been a victim of sexual abuse?
So first and foremost, I am also a life coach. And so I do have an organization. It's called SWAG. That stands for Sexual Wellness Advocacy Group. And I'm helping other people to heal by way of life coaching. I know the ins and outs of that. I'm also teaching families in the communities how to become a support system for someone that you know, or someone that may be in your family that has gone through this, because that is definitely important. I know for me, my parents didn't know how to be my support system. They didn't know how to have those very difficult conversations with me. And in return, I didn't know how to have those conversations with them either. But now that I've actually gone through that, I know what a survivor what they look like. I know what a victim will need to become a survivor. And so I'm helping people heal, through the grace of God. God telling me to go, that's where I'm gonna be.
Okay, is there a certain age group that you do your life coaching?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
he didn't give me a barrier on it. He didn't give me a cap. And the only reason, that he didn't, and then initially I was like, for me, I know when I was growing up, I would hear a lot of females, that kind of stuff would happen to females. Well, the truth of the matter is that it's not just happening to females. It's happened to male and female. And
yes.
So my thing is that, after looking at the prison systems and kind of, watching different documentaries, what I have gathered is that there are a lot of people that are inside of the prison systems now because they have not properly dealt with the issues that may have happened in their childhood, whether that's male or female. And so therefore, I don't have a cap. I'm just here to do whatever God wants me to do. And wherever he tells me to go, that's where I'm going to go.
Oh, that's great. Now, look, Jovante, if you don't mind, just share with everyone your experience that you have had, surviving R. Kelly. And from my understanding, you were a dancer, a backup dancer for Aaliyah or for him, or how was that?
I was actually a backup dancer for Robert and for Sparkle before she was Sparkle. And for Aaliyah, I was in a group called Second Chapter, nameplate Second Chapter. I was a backup singer. So I actually was in a dual role, started off in a girl group and transitioned into a dancer.
Okay, well, great.
And as far as the experiencing surviving R. Kelly, that could be on so many different levels. The magnitude of abuse does not start or stop with sexual. It goes all the way from mental manipulation, as well as verbal to environmental abuse. So that's a magnitude of things when you say that.
Okay. So how did you end up meeting R. Kelly? How did you end up meeting him?
I met him through a friend of mine by the name of Tiffany Hawkins. She was also a teenager. She went to Kenwood. She was in Miss Lena McMurray's music class. And that's my connection with him.
Okay. All right. Now, what can you share with especially young girls and boys, that may find themselves in the presence of someone that they may be unaware of, that could be a predator or what have you? What kind of advice can you give to those that may, be approached by someone such as that?
First and foremost, to be aware is to be alive. You have to be cognizant of your surroundings at all times, and you have to follow that discernment. Everybody comes here with that little kooky sense. Some people call it intuition. Those of us who are God-fearing call it that spirit of discernment. You have to really listen to your inner self. Your first mind is your best mind. It's going to tell you what's best for you. Once you start second guessing yourself, you'll find yourself in situations that are also solvery. And so it doesn't matter if it's a school teacher, if it's the local pastor, if it's your uncle, if it's your cousin, if it's your sister, if it's a parent. A predator knows his prey a mile away. So you have to be mindful of what you share with people, the way you allow people to connect with you in intimate settings, meaning close proximity. Be mindful of the way that people engage in your space. Be careful for people being a little too touchy, feely, or even a little too embracing. Those things are all signs of pedophilia, unless it's somebody who's in a situation where there's discomfort, you've lost somebody, or there's a situation where somebody may be ill and they need somebody to comfort them in that way. Other than that, you may be in harm's way. That doesn't mean that every person that approaches you in an endearing way is out to aggress you sexually. But those are things you can look out for that will definitely keep you out of harm's way and will also give you a trained eye to see what's going on around you, not only with yourself, but with others. Because most oftentimes predators do things in plain sight. So things are going on right when you're right there. And you don't see it because it's in your face. And so those are the things that you have to be mindful of, not so much as the things that you don't see, but the things that you do.
Yeah.
And would you say as well that, and it's crazy to say, but usually the predators are usually someone that's really close to you, someone that you know more than a stranger, would you say?
Absolutely. It's much easier for someone that you're actually comfortable with to have you in a compromised situation than it is a stranger. Why? Yeah. Because you're taught to be mindful of strangers. You're not taught to be mindful of those that you know. And I think that's one of the places that we fail as parents, familiarity, not telling our children to look out for those familiar spaces and places. And even with family members, We teach them that about outside people, but we don't teach them about the people that are in close proximity. And that is also what creates the problem and the safe space for people to do what is so unsound. And to the
Yes.
most innocent of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to add something as well.
Okay.
Statistics has shown that 90% of people that have been abused by someone that they know. And
Mhm.
the other 10% is by a stranger. And if I could just interject just a little bit,
Okay.
um, my story, my story started off, I was molested by my uncle at 11. The thing about that was, first and foremost, he was like my favorite uncle at the time.
Mm.
He was that one that, when if I did something good at school, if I had something I wanted to share with someone, he was my outlet. He was my everything. And so every day he would come and see me. Every day he was at my house. Now, the key point to that is that, it's just like, Ms. Jovante stated, my parents didn't see, they didn't see that, that I was being preyed upon, because he was like right there in our faces, and so the one day, the very first time I was ever left alone, he found a way in to pounce. And so that's pretty much how my story, pretty much unfolded. However, the thing I teach other people to watch out for also is that even with my situation, I know that I'm a child of four. My parents had two girls and two boys. Well, this particular uncle would only come to do things with me, help me with my homework. We would always be laughing and joking. We always played games. We always did. Now, mind you, there's three other children there, but his sights was set on me. It didn't look out of place initially, I mean, I'm pretty sure now my parents can recognize that. But the thing about that is that why should that be, why should that be a bad thing for an uncle to come and have, and spend time with a niece? Why can't we love each other on that type of a level? And I hear a lot of people, that have great relationships with uncles and different, aunts and uncles, and things like that. But the thing about that was, red flags were going off. Things were, I mean, he was not, it's just like what Ms. Jovante was saying. He actually did any and everything right there in front of my parents. It was just that no one would have thought to say, okay, no, he loves her. He cares too much about her. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I did as well. I never would have thought that. I never would have guessed that. I didn't have, those tools to say, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be this close with him. Maybe I shouldn't tell him all of my secrets and the things that I really like or the things I really don't like. Maybe I shouldn't have opened up. But when you are a kid, you don't know. And I think that sometimes, like Jovante says, as parents, this is how we end up failing our children, because we're not taking that time out, to get to know and to get to learn about the different tools that we need to be able to spot out a predator. And so, now my parents would definitely have, now they have those tools. Now I have those tools. So even for my children, I mean, I was very, very cautious about who they stayed with, who kept them, who babysat them, which daycare center they went to, where would they go. I was very, very careful about things like that, because, when a family member has come in and interjected and just like broken a wall through your family unit, it's just like, that's something, it will never be repaired. You know what I'm saying? It's never, you will never go back and patch that hole up. It's there, it's severed forever. And while I forgive my uncle, I wouldn't let him keep my children. I'm not, naive to the fact that, sir, you're a predator, and at the end of the day, that's just what it is. And so, but the thing about that is that there are a lot of people, that are out there that don't have those tools, that don't understand that if someone is paying too much close attention to your children, that may not be, oh, that they love them. That may be something else going on. And just to give you a brief, another brief example, once I had a neighbor that actually decided that he was going to come over, knocked on the door, and he brought my baby girl a bag of chips. So it's like almost 9 o'clock, at night. Supper has been had, kitchen is clean, you're in your PJs getting ready to wind down, and here he knocks with a bag of chips.
At
And so
9 p.m.
yeah, it was like maybe like 8ish, almost 9 o'clock. Yeah. And I mean, it was on the weekend, but nevertheless, let me just tell you,
Okay.
my senses went to, okay, because now I'm watching you, because this is what happened. So once he came in, he gave her the chips. And of course he was like, hey, let me get my hug, and so I'm like, okay, I'm definitely gonna have to keep my eyes on him. And so I knew then that I needed to have that conversation with my girls, because 5 minutes later, he was knocking on the door again with a pack of candy. Now, mind you, I have 3 children. So here you are, you done set your sights. And I'm gonna tell you, I didn't do the Christian thing at that moment. And I won't even say I was saved at that time. And so I walked out there with my gun, like, listen, this is your chip and this is your candy. Don't you bring your butt back over here. Because, you got to recognize a predator, because that meant that at any given moment, if he had ever caught my daughter slipping, it was doomed to go down, and so I had to let her know, first of all, we don't accept things from men that we don't know like that. Second of all, when you see somebody that's trying to hug you, because I've gone through all of that where an uncle has hugged you, but yeah, it's like, yeah, I gotta hug you, I gotta pick you up because I want to accidentally touch your butt, or I want to accidentally touch your breast. Oh, no big deal. Because like, what are you gonna say? You touch my breast, you touch my butt. It's like, it's something that's happening. You feel comfortable about it, but it's almost like, well, is this something that I gonna say anything about? And then what is he gonna say? Oh, it was an accident. I didn't mean to touch her butt. I didn't mean to touch her breast. So you just don't say anything. So you don't, you keep that from your parents. But then the next time it happens, and the time after that, because now he's comfortable with picking you up and getting a feel every time. And so that's what those hugs was about. Oh, let me bring you a bag of chips. Because in truth of the matter of is that what would cause a grown man to be somewhere thinking about a child that's not in your family, that you don't know? What would cause a grown person to say, a grown up, to just, you know what, I'm gonna go and take that baby a bag of chips? Okay, that would be fine if something just, well, she told me she did good in school, I'll bring her a bag of chips. But then you leave.
But not at 9 o'clock at night.
Not at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because if you know that the individual has more than one child, anybody in their right mind would bring something for all the children.
All 3
and maybe make honorable mention of the child that has this specialty event going on. Hey, I heard you did, you made the honor roll. Kudos to you, but I did bring something for your brother and your sisters as well, so that they don't feel left out. So, I mean, for me, it's not so much who or what, it's how.
Mm-hmm.
You have to teach your children healthy relationships, period. And we don't want to shun people just because they're a little bit more affectionate than others. But if somebody does something that you don't like, then you need to say something immediately. If somebody does something that makes you uncomfortable, whether you think it was a good intention or bad intention, you need to alert a parent, hey, so-and-so did so-and-so, I didn't feel comfortable. Can you have a conversation with this person? And if it persists, then now do we go further and we get law enforcement involved, because we've already had this conversation. So it's a thin line between association and association, if that makes any kind of sense, because some people really don't mean any harm. They really just, they may have lost a child. Your child may remind them of a child that has passed on. And so in their mind, they're living vicariously through you. They really don't mean any harm.
Yeah.
Have, like you say, creepy Uncle Chester, or, you know, Tiptoe Tina,
Yeah.
trying to play tickle toes when nobody is around, or either when nobody is looking. So,
Right.
you know, those are things you definitely have to be mindful of. You were, you know, misappropriated by somebody that was fond of you. I was misappropriated by somebody who was not so fond of me. So, and still family. So
Yeah.
it's more so making the children aware of what's appropriate behavior and what isn't.
And what-
Not so much as if they're favored or unfavored, because it can come in all shapes, forms, and fashions. You know,
Yeah.
one end of the spectrum versus the other. Same poor behavior.
Yeah. I agree.
So, yeah. So, you know, in reference to all of that, you guys, so, and you may already have kind of hit some points with that, but I do want to make sure that the viewers are really tuning in and listening.
Okay.
As far as when it comes to parents, because, you know, you can't blame parents for everything, but there are some faults at one way or another. So what advice can you guys give to parents that has kids to where they need to make sure that they are watchful and that they can recognize and see a predator or what have you? Because I think if you open yourself up, that you can really see whether it's a relative or it's someone on the outside. So what advice can you guys give now that you guys were at that point as a child and now you're a parent? So now you don't want to fall into certain steps or areas that maybe your parents lacked in. So what advice can you guys give now that you are parents and you once were a victim? So we'll see. Jovante, can you answer that for us?
First and foremost, listen to your children. I don't care how bad the kid is. I don't care how annoying the kid is. They may even have an issue with storytelling or not being so forthright with the truth. But when things like that occur, you have to investigate, whether you like it or not. You have to take the time to do the due diligence to make sure that there's no credence behind accusation, or you're failing your children.
Yes.
You have to be mindful of behaviors, bedwetting, thumb sucking, finger sucking. Those are signs of insecurity. Bedwetting is often a sign of abuse, sexual abuse. Be mindful of their body language. Get to know your kid inside and out. That will help you immensely. And even if you don't recognize the switch in behavior of a stranger or a loved one, you will notice the switch change in behavior in your child. If your child goes from being extremely happy to extremely inverted, there's something wrong. And it doesn't have to always be sexual. Abuse does not start or stop with sexual. It's mental, it's verbal, it's physical, it's environmental. It can be in so many different areas. So you can't always assume that it's a sexual issue, but there's an area of deficiency that needs to be dealt with. And if you're paying attention and if you're listening, it'll come out in conversation, it'll come out in playtime, it'll come out in behavior, it'll come out in every shape, form, or fashion. You just really have to learn to listen. That's the best advice I can give anyone. Even if, like I said, I can't stress that enough, because I was a kid who told lies. I wasn't always forthright as a child. And so when I did go to say something, nobody believed me. And so that afforded me the ability to be misappropriated over and over and over again, because nobody believed me. So it's important that regardless to what the behavior patterns are, when it comes to something that severe, you have to do the research. You have to exhaust all areas to make sure that there is no credence behind what's happening. Behavior issues, acting out, tantrums, problems in school, violent outbursts, those are normally telltale signs that somebody's doing something to your child. So most oftentimes parents result to that being poor behavior. No, those are cries for help. And if you're not listening to those silent cries, then you normally miss them. And now you have a person who's been misappropriated, has not been dealt with properly, hasn't gotten the proper counseling, doesn't have the proper resources, and doesn't have the proper support system to advance into the next stage of development. And if you don't catch it, it will repeat itself.
Yes.
You have some people that turn into pedophiles, you have some people who do not. But most oftentimes you have people that repeat the behavior if the behavior is not caught and critiqued. So that's the best as I can give it to you.
Okay, that's great. Look, Alisha, tell us more as far as your book and where everyone can find it, where they can learn more of your story.
Okay. Unspoken Truth is actually on Amazon. Um, I was on the bestsellers list on the Amazon, but you can also go to my page. My website is swagbr.org. And I mean, I guess we'll be able to plug that somewhere.
Yes, I will. Certainly.
And I'll make sure you have all of that information as to where they can go and find the book. But the book actually does talk about a lot of different things. My perspective of what to look for, or what to, my advice to give to parents would definitely be to get to know your children. Affirm your children yourself. That way, when they start to get affirmed from others, they won't be, as likely to, kind of be all happy dandy with that person. You should be the big person in your kid's life. Like my uncle was that for me, but I made for sure to make sure that for my kids that I was it. I mean, I celebrated them at all costs. If you got an A, I want to know about it. If you got an answer right today, okay, yeah, well, we may make cupcakes later or something like that. But I was the one who made sure that I'm celebrating them, I'm affirming them. Ms. Jovante did touch on a whole lot of great topics as to, what to look for if it has happened. And truth of the matter is that you have to know your children have to be very, very comfortable and have that open line of communication with you to be able to sit you down. Because my children, and I mean, I have an 18-year-old. I mean, and we still, she tells me absolutely everything. And so even though I sometimes may be like, okay, this is repetitive, you said this already, I'm never going to say that to her because I never want her to stop coming to me. And so what I usually do is I make sure that it's always an open door policy with me and my husband. You can come and talk to us about anything. And they definitely do. That will keep them from going and asking questions to another adult. Because see, when you don't have that line of communication open with your children, you run the risk of them getting information from other people. It may not be the way that you get it, that you would like for them to receive it. And so it's a lot of different things that, I sit down and I talk about in this book, because a lot of parents need to understand. And I understand there's some, single parent homes, but I was a single mom when my older two kids were babies. However, the line of communication has always been open for me, because I wanted to make sure that they felt good and comfortable enough with me to say, you know what, it doesn't matter what's going on, because you got people that'll say, if you tell, I'm gonna kill your mom, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill your whole family, and they are scared. And so therefore they won't tell you. Or because I've been, coaching for some time now, I find that, some of these kids are carrying on burdens that was not theirs to carry in the first place. They are, afraid to tell their parents because, oh, that's going, my mom is a single parent. That's going to be too much. I don't want to put more on her plate, and it's just like, that should never be the issue. I never sit down and discuss or allow my kids to see that something is not going right, or what, there's something a little off in my household, because they don't need to worry about that worration is on us as parents. And so when you start showing kids, well, I ain't got money for that, and it's okay to say those things, but I mean, try to do what you can. I mean, it ain't all about buying tennis shoes and name brand this and name brand that. But I tell you, spending time with your children, making memories is one of those things that that will last a lifetime. So keeping that kind of communication open, we always do that here in my household. You can come and talk to us. I mean, even if it's something that you've done wrong, we sit down and we talk about it. We discuss it and we break that thing down so that, you know, first and foremost, you ain't getting that information from somebody else, because 9 times out of 10, it's either going to be watered down or halfway. So I make sure that I tell them whatever it is. If they don't understand something, you know, if the teacher done said something inappropriate at school, which I've gotten that, you know, sometimes we come back and we sit down and we talk about that. How do you address that? How do you, you know, face that in the classroom when, you know, there's a teacher that has said something, or you got a male teacher that comes over and pulls your hair out of your face because now he want to talk to your ear as if you can't hear him with your hair down. That's an issue. So I teach them, you know, a lot about open line of communication, because I think it's greatly needed.
And different things that they can notice that maybe, you know, is a problem.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's really good, because honestly, that's what we have to do as parents.
Oh, yeah.
Is we can't just leave it for the teachers or anyone else. You know, the parents has to do it. And I am a true believer of that. But look, I have enjoyed you guys so much. Now, I want Jovante to share with everyone about her podcast, The Laundry Room. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, well, I am Jovante Cunningham, as if you guys didn't already know. I am the host of The Laundry Room. It is a safe space and place to air and share your dirty laundry. And the show is based upon no specific subject matter. It is a safe community for you to discuss whatever may be on your heart. And it stems from the erroneous question of, what does a victim look like?
Yes.
I often say, she don't look like she's a victim. He don't look like he's a victim. Well, at the point that you can tell me what a victim looks like, I'm sure I can find 50,000 people that'll fit the bill. So I wanted to provide a space where people could be who they are, where people wouldn't stand in judgment. They could say how they felt and get actual honest feedback that was non-biased. So that's what the Laundry Room is for.
Oh, great. Well, so, and they can tune in to that. Is there like
You can tune into the Laundry Room. You can find me on IG at the Jovante Cunningham. Again, that's TheJovante Cunningham, Cunningham. You can also find me on YouTube. You can type in Jovante Cunningham and there'll be a series of videos that will pop up. And subscribe, share, and like my YouTube videos, as well as find Miss Alisha on Amazon and Kindle. The book, The Unspoken Truth, The Aftermath of Abuse, and it is only $20. And I'm telling you, it is a tool. It is a tool for healing like never before. It covers every single subject that you could ever imagine, from abuse to suicide. By all means, please support Miss Alisha and go buy the book. It is one to follow.
awesome? You guys, I have enjoyed you all tremendously. And
Absolutely. This was awesome. I enjoyed our dialogue.
yes, of course, we have to do this again, and you all will be featured in Exposure Spotlight magazine. So you all, the viewers that is watching and maybe have some questions or want to just read more, like she mentioned, you can, of course, go to Amazon Kindle to get Alisha White book called The Unspoken Truth, The Aftermath of Sexual Abuse. And then, of course, you can watch Sister, the Van Jovante Cunningham, Surviving R. Kelly Part 1 and 2. And of course, she has been in the limelight, and we just thank her for just sharing her story and her experience. And look, I'm sure you guys have helped someone. And I'm grateful and thankful that you all accepted this invitation once again. And thank you, because you want to know why? Your voice matters. And that's what Exposure Spotlight magazine is all about. Your voice matters. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you
for having us. Hopefully we'll get to have you as well in the Laundry Room so you can explain to the community what you do and how you help so many different people get exposure.
I would love to. That's a done deal.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. And y'all be blessed.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
We are looking for a hot sensation, hot sweet neck stereo wavelengths, blowing up like a supernova double crimp. Can you feel it?
I am Ernest L. Thomas from the Waldens, and you need to download the Win Network app now, or else it's gonna be tragic. Tragic!
Win Network, faith, family, and fun entertainment. Download for free at winnetwork.com. Now streaming on all digital platforms.
You ain't gonna believe what I got. Woo! Baby, you know me, I'm Big Al, I'm the car guy. Ain't nobody like me. And guess who's behind the camera? None other than the infamous The Big Mo. And guess what I got for you? A 2018 Ford Edge Platinum Titanium, baby. Show 'em, Mo. Come on, Mo. Woo! Leather. Come on, Mo. Big screen. Backup camera. Power windows, doors, and lock. Keyless 180 alarm system. Show them the remote. Start on the remote. Boom, baby. You can crank it up before you get to it. Silver in color. Nice wheels. Come on back. Tinted windows. Millennium Auto Group. Show them, Mo. Show them, Mo. Look at that. Look at that. Auto lift with EcoBoost. Come on now. What do you need? Come on now. Push button and lay it back down. Come on, Mo. Come on, Mo. You're not going to beat it, but Mo, you got to show him my baby. Show him my baby. I call her Baby Blue. This is a 2017 Toyota RAV4. Baby, you're not going to beat it. Come on down and see me. I am the man. Ain't nobody got cars like me. Ain't nobody got beat it. Ah! Come see me, 9671 Airline Highway. Come see me on Big Al. Ain't nobody like me. Woo!